everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Without Context podcast doing Square Triangle. We are talking about AEW's Double or Nothing that was just this weekend. Pretty solid pay-per-view, I think. I gave it an 8. I think there's like this black hole in the middle of it, like almost dead center, and we'll probably talk about that.
Without going back and like rereading or re-listening to our old stuff, this wasn't their best pay-per-view, but it also was far from their worst. Like I didn't feel there is a void in the other center of the card, but it does pick back up, thankfully.
Now, I thought this was a pretty decent pay-per-view, but there were just parts of this pay-per-view that were just absolutely awful. I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a whole match that's awful.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
So
we'll get to it.
Did you guys watch the buy-in?
I did not.
I did not.
Okay, I did. The Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo match was actually pretty good. It probably didn't have a place on the main card, but it was still a decent match, and I would recommend anybody who likes either wrestlers to watch it. It does further their story a little bit more, and the in-ring action, very experienced women wrestlers, was very good. Great way to start to the pre-show. We then had the Acclaimed versus Cage of Agony, which is the new trios of Gates of Agony and Brian Cage after separating from Swerve Strickland. Pre-match promos. Max Caster actually cut a really, really solid promo. I was actually kind of impressed, and then he instantly came out with another shitty rap, and I was like, well, shit. So, there was also a joke of you call yourself Gates of Agony. Well, I'm a gay in agony, and that was Anthony Bowen cutting a promo. And I was like, that's actually really fucking funny.
That's pretty
good. The Acclaimed win with a roll-up by Billy Gunn, which is a very odd decision considering this new take on the trio. To have them just lose to a roll-up is kind of a weird decision, but it's pre-show and all that, and there wasn't a title like in the mix or anything, so... then we got an announcement. It is the 25th anniversary of the Owen Hart Foundation. And they did announce that pretty much like King and Queen of the Ring, I believe, the winners of the men's and women's tournaments will get a title shot at All In. So I think this is going to be their way to probably fast track somebody to swerve into a swerve feud to get ready for All In.
Get out of booking free.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy get out of booking free, because then you can have like Mariah May win the women's and just get right into, progressing that story. Finally, very nice. The finals will be held in Calgary, and then the title shots will go right to All In. That was the big announcement.
What's the name of the person from Stardom who keeps trying to make out with Mariah May?
Oh, that's Mina Shirakawa.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope that comes into play at some point.
So that was a pretty cool announcement. It is basically they're doing the King of the Ring thing, or Queen of the Ring, where they'll get a title shot down the line. I don't really care if it's copying or not. It's a good out if you need it. If somebody gets injured, it could be like, well, we wanted this person at All In, but now something happened, so we'll just change up the tournament. Because I think the tournament goes until July, so about a month before All In.
But keep in mind, the King and Queen of the Ring, like, there were so many people that got laid out from that.
Oh yeah, it was the most cursed women's tournament that I think WWE has ever run. They had 4 people out with injuries in the first round. So
and there were a couple injuries on the men's side too. So that made that a little interesting.
Yeah,
but
so
I think they got the right. I think they had the right winners with that.
Yes. So that was a pretty cool. Announcement, and this was also, I think, followed up later in the night where Tony Khan hinted that he did want mixed tag titles. But I think, we should probably figure out what titles can go first when we throw in a new division. I can see it being a fun thing to do occasionally, but it is something interesting that if they get rid of some of the tertiary titles, you can probably make some space for.
Mm.
Because I could instantly see it being like Brody King and Julia Hart as like the first like champions. They just have.
But then who do they face?
I don't know. That's thing. You'd have to build up. You'd have to build up. The obvious would be like Britt Baker and Adam Cole, and you have to kind of build teams. So maybe down the line, it would be cool if they can get a good roster of mixed tag teams together. We get into the main show then, and even I said in Discord, this is a decision to put on Roderick Strong and Will Ospreay first. Like
they wanted that crowd hot immediately. And
well, I think this was put in because it's a hot crowd for this match, and then everything that happened afterwards, I think is why this, because you have to, if you have Roderick, it gives Adam Cole a reason, and then it builds into what it becomes. I really like this fucking match.
It's a good match.
I'm still debating if this is my match of the night, all things considered, but I fucking loved this match. Like, it was so good.
I think I put the Swerve match on top just because they were both very competent people who made a match work.
Yeah.
I honestly liked the Adam Copeland Malachi Black match.
I thought
because I was watching it and I'm like, this is how the Finn match should have gone. Before they stopped the hell in a cell.
Because Finn got opened up and they completely killed the momentum of that match.
It did for like 15 minutes. They were like tending to Finn just to continue the fucking match. And I'm like, I'm glad he kind of got this as like a redo with a competent opponent who was like going to be safe about it. Oh.
I wouldn't say more competent opponent. I think Finn's fine. But
it was probably the wrong word, but like
it was just WWE's way of handling blood. You know, they didn't want overly amount of blood.
They didn't want a lot of blood, and I think Finn at that point was also like, man, he's been injured too much. Let's not have him lose like more time by this point. Because this was all I think right. This was like cautious. The beginning of Judgment Day.
Yes.
So
they were being cautious to a fault. So I can't really blame them for that, but it's just I guess it's just their policies or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah. This match starts off really fucking hot too. You have Undisputed Kingdom to come out, do their 2 turnbuckles with Roderick Strong in the middle, and as the lights come on to show Roderick Strong, Ospreay goes straight for the Hidden Blade, which was it gets us right into the match, and it becomes a 3v1 that almost kills Ospreay in the first like 3 minutes of this match. Like seeing that fall, like I still like shudder at it. It's such a rough landing, but you're right, his feet did luckily hit first to kind of break it.
God.
Every time one of us is like, oh yeah, that person fucking died. I always like look at the instant replay of like, nah, they landed on their feet, they're fine.
It's still a very rough landing. The fact that he wasn't concussed or anything is still surprising, all things considered, because I think that at least might have had a like mild concussion effect. There's a great moment where Ospreay goes over the barricade and takes out Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, and then he stands up and there's like this camera angle of the two of them like doing the stare down when he's behind the barricade, and I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's just
cinema.
It is cinema. And I mean, this match is exactly what you'd expect from people like Strong and Ospreay. These two guys know how to work wrestling match.
Yeah.
There is the shenanigans as you'd expect from Undisputed Kingdom. They try to distract the ref. Wardlow gets involved. The ref backs up to catch Wardlow, putting him into the powerbomb like situation, and then he ejects all of Undisputed Kingdom. And this match was not long. I think this match only went for about 10 or 15 minutes.
This match was 17 minutes.
17 minutes? It went by incredibly fast.
Yeah, they went through spot after spot after spot after spot the entire match.
They built on the Tiger Driver storyline. Ospreay wants to hit it. Callis is calling for him to hit it, and Ospreay is looking incredibly conflicted. We're going to talk about Don Callis a little bit because I think I see what they're doing with him in the storyline. And I think he's costing more of his guys than he's helping them. is going to probably be how they separate Takeshita from Don Callis down the line.
I remember when this is a little bit of a tangent, but it'll loop back around here in a sec. When we did the Royal Rumble review, when I talked about something that I had missed from the 90s WWF to coming into today, it's like having that manager that comes in to for several matches like Bobby Heenan did.
Yeah,
or
different suits.
Whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, you brought that up in the Discord.
Clients.
Right.
And I like that that's Don Callis' role here, that he comes in.
He's on commentary for his guys,
for all of his clients. I think that's really neat. It's a very old school feel.
I mean, you can't help but hate the guy as a character, but he does bring a lot of his knowledge to what he's doing.
He's also a solid commentator. He doesn't try to make it about himself when he's commentating.
He plays a heel commentator great.
He's a really good.
Okay, sorry about that. Recording crashed. And yeah, we're talking about Don Callis in ECW as a commentator. He was a manager for the Oddities in WF. I mean, he's been around. He's been in a lot of companies, and it's been pretty great.
With Cyrus the Virus.
And yeah, he brings a lot to his guys, but there's a running theme through the show that he's also causing a lot of their losses at times, trying to be overly manager about it. But not in this case with Ospreay. Like I said, it happens with Takeshita, but not with Ospreay. Ospreay counters the end of Heartache into a hidden blade, like just straight lands on his feet, and then hits the Stormbreaker, and Ospreay is the new international title champion. Which they kind of just strapped that belt to him real fast, but I think is also the right decision. The momentum that he has right now.
Well, they're pretty much playing it for All In at this point, because I think we're a couple months out. So putting the title on him going into All In to me makes sense.
Oh yeah,
I thought he ended up challenging Swerve for the title, but I guess they're going a different direction with that. And
I feel like they're going to save that.
They're going to save that for later.
Yeah,
because that's going to be an absolute. That's going to be an absolute banger right there.
It's going to be
maybe
great.
For Full Gear. I'm not sure though, but they will.
So yeah, Ospreay wins. They clear out the ring pretty fast after this, and then Adam Cole arrives for story time with Adam Cole, and the crowd doesn't really let him get started until he is interrupted with the lights going out. A new vignette playing on monitor, ripped up Brochacho's picture, and MJF is back from injury, rocking the 2002 Triple H jacket. I don't know.
Homage, people.
I don't know if this feud's going to continue. I think they just want to get them out of it now and move them on to something new. I think Adam Cole might still have some recovery time, but MJF's ready to go, so why not just put him into something? Kicks Adam Cole in the nuts, tells him to get that piece of shit out of his ring, and cuts a great fucking promo.
I'm gonna pump the brakes here a little bit. I thought it was an okay promo, but I thought it was more the same of like, this is just what we get from MJF. If that's what we want as to get as like MJF, like fine. But he's been the same character for like 4 years, and he's been injured for most of that time.
Yeah, I think what this promo was setting up is him as kind of like a no-nonsense face anymore with obvious trust issues.
Right.
Which I think is going to be worked into something down the line when it comes to...
I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be... He's probably going to be more of a tweener at this point, because he's most likely going to target everybody in the back now, as opposed to just faces or heels. I still think to some degree they're going to continue the Adam Cole feud, but they'll probably come back to it when Adam Cole's a 100%.
Yeah.
I thought it was a decent promo. This is more the MJF stuff, but you can just tell he's just very passionate about where he is right now, and he pretty much is going to build himself up without the WWE's help. Because I think there was like there was a whole bunch of comments and shit going on over the weekend about how people were like, "Oh, WWE will make him global." Well, MJF is a global superstar already. Okay, in the 4 years he's been with AEW, he's been a recognized name. So I don't see where that comment's coming from, but
the speculation was, there was no solid information about his contract status following World's End. I mean, the guy was injured, so he's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Knew that at the end of World's End, he was pretty fucking banged up. It was in the middle of. It was near the end of the Vince transit out and the TKO, buyout. So a lot of uncertainty there. And as we get into, the next following months now of the Triple H regime, there have been some hit and misses. It hasn't been a perfect ride or anything.
I think you'd have to be really delusional to expect everything to be like a perfect hit.
Yeah. And it's just, I think he is going to be around AEW for a long time. I'm never going to say he's never going. I'm not going to say he's never going to leave, but I can tell, at least for the immediate future, he is very happy where he is and how he's being showcased.
I still think he wants to be the face of the company.
Absolutely.
Which he has been which he was last year. But, it's just a matter of where he fits in right now. Because a lot has changed in 3 months,
Yeah.
The building main eventers, you got Swerve as champ. So it's just going to be kind of interesting to see where MJF falls in the middle of all of that.
Yeah. Where does he go from here is going to be the interesting thing. Because, I mean, are you going to have him build up to, Ospreay in the international title? Are you going to have him eventually build up to Swerve? Or maybe a TBS title run? There's a lot that you can do for him.
TNT.
Yeah, I would love to see him as a TNT, just always on.
Yeah.
Teased that.
They're both television titles.
Injured. They teased him being the getting into a feud with Swerve before he left for injuries and the whole contract kerfluffle.
Yeah. He also has a new moniker. He's going by the Wolf of Wrestling now. Which is
actually, I thought he just said.
Oh no, it's merchant. It's on merch. Talent. No, it's he has merchandise, the Wolf of Wrestling. So, new moniker. I don't think he's used it anywhere else. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's back. Tonight will be the first Dynamite since this event, and I don't think he's been advertised yet. So I'll be curious to see how tonight goes, especially now with Adam Copeland being injured as TBS champion. They're probably going to have to do something with the title and getting it off of him. So it's going to be an interesting fallout from all of this and kind of seeing where things go from here.
Oh, great.
I got a prediction for that, but I don't think anybody's going to like it. I think Jack Perry ends up with the TNT title somehow.
How is it?
It just makes sense. They'll just have all 4 of those belts. Everybody in the elite having a title right now.
Yeah, it would be. I think that's kind of the long running plan.
Yeah,
but I don't think EVP move to be like, okay, you're injured. We're taking that off of you, and now we're gonna put this on someone we can trust, somebody who won't ever get injured. Gives it to Jack Perry.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting off the show with the Ospreay match and then the MJF return. The crowd is red hot after all of this. And it does kind of carry over into this trios match, which isn't overly spectacle, I would say. This was kind of it felt more like a very standard trios match, just with some, exciting spots, but they didn't really go crazy with it.
Yeah, this just felt like a standard Dynamite or Collision match from what I saw.
Yeah, it was I put in my notes like a slow, somewhat traditional trios match. They're all good wrestlers. They have their big moment, like everybody hits a finisher on each other kind of moment. Mm-hmm. Everything goes well. Pac goes up to the top, and Juice Robinson is back. The second return of the night, and I was kind of hoping we would go 3 for 3 and get Jamie Hayter back, but unfortunately, we did not. Juice Robinson is back. Pac eats a Blade Runner, takes the pin. Bang Bang Gang is back at full force and still your unified trios champions. Not much to really talk about here. I mean, all the guys got to showcase their stuff. Pac still sells DDTs like a fucking madman.
Everyone got their stuff. Yeah,
he just folds his back. I mean, he just feels like he just folds every time he takes a DDT, and I'm like, God, he makes it so realistic looking.
It looks like he bounces on his head in ragdolls.
Yeah. Yeah, he hits the Gary's mod like ragdoll physics.
Yes.
But yeah, not really much to write home about. This was a good match, but it definitely wasn't my favorite matches of the night. Definitely just oh cool, these guys are at least on the pay-per-view, which I was happy about.
All right, get your pay-per-view money, guys.
Get your pay-per-view money. We then get the AEW's Women's World Championship match. Serena Deeb versus Timeless Toni Storm. This again, like the match before, it just kind of felt like a televised women's title match. Just didn't really have like that big fight feel that I think Toni Storm matches have had. And I don't think that's because it's Serena Deeb. I just don't think the build was there.
So guys, is this where y'all would say this is where the void in this pay-per-view was? Because I kind of felt that.
Absolutely not.
This one was slow. This one was slow, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed because I kind of enjoyed it myself.
There are the two matches that were kind of the void for me were the FTW match, which I think is everybody here can agree on.
Oh, I got some thoughts on that.
And I felt like the Moxley and Takeshita match was kind of a nothing match. Yeah. Especially with the finish. I'm like, you're going for an eliminator, which means if he beats Moxley, he doesn't get the title, he just gets a shot. But you're still going to have him lose. So it's just like, you couldn't have just given him the win and like surprised and given it a sense of, oh shit, what could happen? Is a DDT guy going to be New Japan champion?
Because in all honesty, as much as I enjoyed this match, I really feel like this is where the downturn of this pay-per-view started.
It wasn't a crazy like good match, but it wasn't a bad match. It was just I don't think their chemistry in the ring and their styles kind of align.
No, they don't.
There was a point that I enjoyed where Mariah May was trying to throw in the towel.
Yes, and Luther stops her. And Tony thinks that Luther's about to throw in the towel.
And then she just chucks the towel in the crowd.
This match did also end with an avalanche pile driver, which I thought was fucking insane. So she hits the avalanche pile driver. Tony retains. This was after like back-to-back detoxes, which is Serena Deeb's finisher. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh shit, are they actually gonna put it on Deeb? And I was like, no, we still haven't gotten to the Mariah May like storyline yet, so of course not. Crazy though that Deeb was in control of this match a lot. Like this is the first time I think Tony's been like straight outmatched in the ring by somebody so far.
It's really hard not to make technical wrestlers like Serena Deeb or Bryan Danielson or whoever like in charge of the match for most of the match, because that's just their wrestling style. Is that they're mat wrestlers. They're gonna put you in a hole. They're gonna like lock you up somehow. And you have to spend time in kayfabe, messing with their hands before you can like actually have control of them.
Yeah, there was also a cool rope break during a submission hold where Tony bites onto the ropes, which I think was a really cool rope break. Yeah. But again, not a lot really happened in this match. This was just a match to get Toni Storm in a title defense on the pay-per-view, I felt like, especially the build only being 2 weeks.
Yeah, so, and a lot of the match was just carried by some of her antics too, so the usual from Toni Storm.
She's still great as a character.
She's as a character, she's probably one of the best characters in AEW right now.
This hands down. This says nothing about whether it was a good or a bad match. It's just what we come to expect from them. And it didn't add on to anything for either person.
It didn't take away from anything either.
Yeah, yes. Tony did her her new motorboating thing and got slapped by Serenity, which I thought was pretty funny too.
Yes. Her character's starting to get a lot more pervy as of late. Now I kind of enjoy it.
Hey, that's the breaks. Every Hollywood starlet.
Yep.
While this is not a bad match, I don't think this should have been on the main card. This Orange Cassidy Trent Beretta match.
I see what you're saying.
This is definitely
the match that should have been on the main card either.
In terms of just everything, I feel like this is a buy-in match, realistically. It wasn't a huge like blood feud match from the feeling of it. This was played again like a televised like Dynamite match. It had a really weird fucking conclusion afterwards. With Trent saying like he can't do this and he's done. It's gonna be a broken episode because I keep my OBS keeps crashing, so we're trying to get through this as fast as we can. But yeah, this Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta match I don't think deserves a main card slot.
That's all right.
I can understand it that maybe this was part of like that what felt like the middle of the card void, because just nothing really happened in this match. You know, they had a straight wrestling match, a little bit hard hitting, but like there was nothing that felt like blood feud to it.
Yeah, because this was just one of those type of matches that I guess was there because of story.
Yeah,
you know, because I guess they have been established a story between Orange Cassidy and Trent for several weeks now, but they could have just settled this on Dynamite or Collision. You know, it wasn't nothing special per se. It was just more the usual between Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. As a matter of fact, it was almost like the previous match they had before that. So, I mean, it was there for a reason, but this could have been also on pre-show.
Yeah, the reason's weak, and I mean, it's also Trent got a lot of offense in. Orange Cassidy being kind of on the back end of it a lot, and it's kind of hard to believe after you think of Orange Cassidy's international title reign, stuff like that. You think he'd be able to put up like a harder fight against somebody like Trent Beretta,
especially after all the wars he's gone through.
Yeah,
especially against Moxley.
It's just a really weird booking decision, or a really weird like booked match.
I think my question for you then, if you don't think this match should be on the main card, is what do you put there? Without moving anything from the pre-show, what do you put here?
I don't. This card had so many matches. You could take this one out.
You could have cut two. Because in all honesty, this was like what 10 matches. You could have cut like 2 of them.
We had
all together. You don't put anything on it.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
12 matches between
10.
The pre-show.
Yeah, you could have cut 2 of these matches. As a matter of fact, the next match after this also goes on the list of matches you could have cut out of this pay-per-view.
Because the last episode we talked about like where's that sweet spot for matches, and we just had a pay-per-view with 5, and now we have one with 10. And I'm like, guys, like 7, 8, please. Like
7, 8. Can we get that, guys? WWE, AEW. That's all I need. You know, we don't need like a 5-hour New Japan pay-per-view. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God, no, please no.
Yeah, it's so weird. The thing is, I feel like this probably just either could have been on the pre-show or just removed. I think maybe another week or 2 of letting this simmer, you know, and then having like a big blow off on maybe one of the special Dynamite episodes, or maybe at least finding a way to keep it more interesting for the next pay-per-view. But I don't think
you could have did this as a steel cage match on Dynamite, honestly, and it would have been the perfect end of this feud.
Yeah, it's just the meal was not fully cooked, and they tried to put it onto this pay-per-view.
The chicken was raw without seasoning, guys.
It was a very Caucasian chicken.
White.
Don't point at either of us.
No, I'm the only white guy in this podcast. We get to talk about the Void. Like
this fucking match.
Oh god,
this match could have used some Old Bay. Is all I'm saying.
Oh man, I feel so bad for Shibata and Hook in this. And this is the first big match for Hook after losing to Jericho in that other shitty match that they just had. Like,
Chris Jericho is actively making wrestlers worse.
Yeah.
At this point in his career, yes, he is.
Oh my god, there's some. It's not that long of a match, but there's still so much to talk about. So Jericho, for the most part, has not completely soured the audience against him. Some people are actually digging the character, but that is not transitioning over to match quality at all.
Guys, didn't we just go through this with the AEW Dynasty pay-per-view? Didn't we just have this exact same thing where Jericho was the worst match on this card?
I think it's time for Jericho to get a storyline injury or something and just be gone for a little while. It's just,
I think it's time to cool it off. Seriously, because we've gone through this with Jericho now for the last couple months. This is his third faction in 5 years. Okay. And
yes. That's that. Yes,
this is his third faction in 5 years. Okay, because we've had the Inner Circle, we've had the Jericho Appreciation Society, and now we have the Learning Tree. Okay, and it seems like this gets worse with each incarnation of a Jericho faction.
Are any of his faction mates better off now?
Angelo Parker did, because he got a family
Jericho
out of it, at least.
Jericho, yeah, he did get a family. Family acquired.
Became a family man.
Menard's great on commentary.
Menard's great. So Jericho Appreciation Society had the most net positive. But you think of Inner Circle, Jake Hager is probably done with his contract now. He's probably on his way out. Sean Spears,
he's a free agent.
Sean Spears was not Inner Circle. He was Pinnacle during their whole thing.
Sammy Guevara is
out. I can't remember why. Is it injury?
Also being a family man.
Or yeah, he also just had a kid with all that too.
Hello?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's also keeping him away from Mercedes after his comments a few years ago. Tony Khan's probably just like, stay home. It's like
just stay home for a little bit.
And then you have Santana and Ortiz, who had their own falling out, all things considered.
Ortiz is nowhere. Ortiz is kind of out right now. Santana's back in TNA.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Ortiz fits more with whatever Eddie's doing. I think you can keep building them as, even if not a tag team, at least frequent partners together, on screen. Because there is like a genuine history there too, I think. But and now we have MJF was Pinnacle too, and it was kind of like that bridge between the two during those early days. But yeah, now we have the Learning Tree with Big Bill, who I am still very happy he's getting screen time. He's come a long way from everything post WWE. He almost died in this match. We cannot. Realistically, if he had landed on the leg, the pin of the leg probably would have crumpled, but it would have been a very hard landing still.
He probably would have suffered a severe injury.
It probably would have been an injury.
I think he would have had like a really nasty shiner, and that's about it.
Oh, definitely bruise. Honestly, probably a bad bruise. But this match there's all kinds of shit in this match. You have Jericho like doing his thing, like something, and then Hoka Shibata instantly just jumping him and slamming him onto the dice. So there's a little bit of natural comedy in this. You hear the ref saying, they're throwing dice. You hear the ref saying 7 minutes, like they went to the John Cena school of calling matches. Yeah, but then there's the slam on the table where Big Bill almost gets impaled. He sits up slowly enough though to like bonk his head on the table leg and fall back over, which I thought was a good improv if it was
unintentionally comedy.
That was hilarious.
They have Jericho in the same situation they had him on TV, where they both got the title match. They're both holding submission holds, and they get jumped by a mystery man in a mask. Turns out to be Brian Keith, who I'm happy he's getting screen time. I just hate that it's with this. I do want my cowboy group. I want Bandito, Brian Keith, and Hangman Page to eventually be a trios. I need the cowboy team.
Bounty hunter. I know he's a bounty hunter, but I keep hearing Bandit Keith in the back of my head.
Yeah, Brian Keith, the bounty. But I'm like, just him, Bandito, Hangman Page. Just it can be short lived. I just want like that as a trio. Yeah, just three cowboys.
3 cowboys.
But yeah, so yeah, this match fucking sucked.
I don't think this is. Here's the thing, right? As much as I want to say this match just outright sucked, that like was a bad match, and as much as I even think that, we have spots in this match that we can talk about like Big Bill almost dying, about using dice.
Stuff happened.
That doesn't mean that stuff happened. That doesn't necessarily make it good, though. I mean, it's like I told y'all earlier. It's like I told y'all about, like, what was it, yesterday or the day before? Can we just relegate Jericho to the buy-in, the pre-show? You know, you're not gonna have to. They're not gonna take him entirely off a pay-per-view because they pay him too much. But just put him on the damn pre-show, okay? That's all I want at this point because this is just getting repetitive, and I just don't. I'm just not that invested in Jericho and another faction again. I just can't do it. You know,
the man also needs to start working out a little bit. He should probably take a vacation to get somewhat back into shape. He came out not wearing his pants, but like the trunks, and it was just like, oh god, Jericho.
I'm not trying to completely shit on this match, but because there was some good spots in it, no doubt. It's just
Shibata and Hook did what they could.
At all.
They did what they could in this match.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, they're just not given a lot to do because of fucking everything.
Yeah.
Everything in the vortex, the Jericho vortex, as they trademarked. So it's kind of a shame. Shibata is a great wrestler. I'd like to see him, in more, serious like storylines. And Hook's still young. I think this is probably souring him on, things. I think if somebody like Taz, even with his history in WWE, I can feel like if this keeps going on and the response just keeps being like this from viewers and everything, I think Taz is just like, man, just go to NXT when it's over. Like, just.
I think Hook would be at this point much better off in NXT because I think they could teach him a thing or two down there, and he would just be all right.
My brain tricked me. Deca had like a fly on his like sleeve. And for some reason, my mind thought it was my shirt, so I was like trying to brush it off. It's like, okay, cool. I'm back. I'm back in my own body. The dissociation's over.
You had an out of body moment for a second.
But yeah, so
let's get out of this match. I'm done talking about.
The only thing I'm gonna add is I think this is leading to Joe being now included as the trios because Jericho now has his trios. And Joe did stop by Hook and Shibata, and it's like, you two are not being serious anymore. You need to remember who the fuck you are, like, as wrestlers. So if we get a Shibata, Joe, Hook...
Why is that man wearing floral pattern?
Dude, Shibata is such a... God, he's a treasure with the speak and spell. I think that's what Joe called him, too, in the promo. It's like, Mr. Speak and Spell here. And I was like, Joe, what the fuck?
Joe had to get him back after he fried him with his phone.
Yeah,
I understand that.
And then this, like we talked about earlier a little bit, this next match is just another one of those matches where I'm like, I just feel like the wrong person won. Like it just because it's an eliminator match and not an actual title match.
Which I actually thought it was the title match at first, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying attention that much.
The thing is, he's giving him a shot.
Title match.
I think this was the eliminator match.
It is an
eliminator match. I just
thought it was a title match for some reason, but whatever.
Because they had mentioned that that Moxley has a match like in the near future against Evil. I think it is.
Yeah. Evil. Who's leading the House of Torture in New Japan, by the way.
Yeah. And I didn't know that they were talking about. I thought they were like, well, Takeshita will get a match after that, or if Takeshita's a champion going into that, it'd be Takeshita versus Evil. It was weird. It was really weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this is an eliminator match, so if Takeshita wins, he's not champion. He has a shot to challenge for it later. Why not just give him the win here? Especially when Moxley coming in, basically only having one arm in this match. Like it doesn't completely damage Takeshita, but it does not help the presentation. It's like literally a guy with half use in one arm was able to hit you. So it's just the story getting into that too is also ties into the Callis thing where Callis just wants Takeshita to win it, so Takeshita gets a chair, slides it into the ring, gets into the ring to pick it up, but he eats the stomp. And then the Death Rider. So Callis kind of costing Takeshita also. Which is I think how that story is probably going to eventually play out, is Takeshita being done with it.
Yeah, he's going to break away from the Callis family eventually, what it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys tried to wake this crowd up after the Jericho match, but just the pacing of this match was off. And there was a cool shot in this match from the camera perspective. It was like Takeshita deadlifting Moxley into a power bomb, and you had the camera like doing the rotation around the ring. So they did get some cool shots in, but I mean, this was it's a weird match, man. I was like, why not just let Takeshita get it, you know?
Okay with Takeshita losing, if it means that, like, I don't like the matches being predictable, so to speak. So, like, if every eliminator match means that the challenger always wins, that kind of gets repetitive.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it from that front.
See WWE for that problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just like, man, it could have, because Takeshita being a DDT, wrestler, the interest there is like, oh, he beat a New Japan guy, and now he has a New Japan shot as like a DDT guy. And they just did their whole thing in Japan where like all the companies now have like a big association with each other. I'm like, this could have been the start of, something going on with that and bringing eyes to that, but just like, nah, we're not going to do
it. They probably want to do that. Like, the Japanese promoters probably want to do that in Japan on a Japanese company and not in an American AEW company.
Yeah. I think that's just a bigger problem right now with New Japan. And I think Gabe Kidd is kind of nailing it. It's a lot of their talent is not their company's talent. And I mean, Gabe Kidd, strap a rocket to him. That guy is just New Japan, like all the way through.
Yeah, and on top of that, a lot of New Japan's biggest stars are mostly in AEW now, with the exception of Shinsuke Nakamura, who's still in WWE. But
he's doing things.
He's doing things though. But a lot of it is just is this AEW is kind of transforming into a pseudo American New Japan Pro Wrestling. Only the booking has kind of slid as of late outside of pay-per-views. So once they get that back on track, I think we're going to see the sum of that. But for right now, I guess it's just a waiting game. I don't know what they're going to do with it's just frustrating when you got to be patient.
I think it's just,
I get it.
I think New Japan just lost too many stars at one time.
Yeah, they did.
You had Kenny leave, you had Ospreay leave, you have Jay White leave, the Bucks, WWE picked up AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson and Shinsuke a few years previously, and then Finn Balor a few years. Like just slow. You see the slow trickle of their top people just leaving. Yeah. And then they have to build all their like mid-tier guys like Evil and Shingo and Sonata. Like they have to start raising these guys up after years of having all these other people to be their top.
They still have Naito's still there.
Yeah. But Naito's like he's like the Jericho of that though, in terms of like the age, I suppose. Naito's been around for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's been around forever.
No, it wasn't Naito. It wasn't Naito. No, I think it was Tanahashi that did the Forbidden Door match where I'm like, the man's definitely like losing the physique a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, Tanahashi's on the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
He just became president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, so he's already transitioning into his next role.
Yeah. I mean, even with New Japan, like the Dave Finlay experiment is not working out. Gabe Kidd is being like a stronger presence than Dave Finlay was. And it's just, they need to probably reassess a little bit of, who do we build on now,
Who is your young lion that's going to be a future main eventer? Who can you center your company around is what New Japan has to figure out right now.
Shota Umino. Like, he's
basically. I mean, he's
Moxley. If he takes the belt off Moxley, like just keep him there, just keep.
I mean, he is Moxley's protege, so I mean, shit, yeah, that makes.
And I'm not saying like New Japan has issues. Moxley is very professional. Like he will do what New Japan wants him to do. You know, he'll help. He'll want to help. He wants to help the company. He's not being selfish about it. Like it. So the title's in a good hand right now, but it's just on your home turf. I think they need to reevaluate. Like, all right, who do we build around when Moxley's not here? When these guys aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, Moxley retains. He goes on to fight Evil, and then we'll see what happens.
One thing I did enjoy from this match was Takeshita's strikes, though.
Takeshita
has some of the.
Yeah, it's dismantling Moxley a lot of this match too.
And Moxley did an incredible job selling it too, because he looks like he just got rocked a few times in this match.
There was the arm wrench onto the apron where Moxley landed like real fucking weird, and like really sold it like he fucked up his arm. Like, I think he came down with the arm, like, behind him, like he impacted. And it looked brutal. So, yeah, Moxley did a lot here to make Takeshita, look vicious. Especially when he's targeting the injured arm and all that. And then I think he started choking him with the bandage once it started coming off. So, it's Takeshita showing a little bit of a mean streak, which was nice. But this was definitely like the second of those matches where I'm like, oh, this pay-per-view is kind of slowing down a little bit. Like in a not great way. Then it picks right back up again, though.
Immediately.
This match sufficiently sports entertained me. Like,
my one complaint is that you had this and then you had Anarchy in the Arena not long after.
Yeah, the last half of this pay-per-view is like totally loaded up. I feel like this could have been a little bit up in the card a bit. Like, don't put this between the Jericho Takeshita match, but like put this like right after the MJF promo, I think. Like just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And so you're not like top loading the back of this pay-per-view. This match was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
This was a fun cage match, and I've seen people bitch and moan about the match leaving the cage, and people are like, they don't know the rules of steel cage. And it's like, no, we do. They said the only way to win this is pinfall or submission, not by escaping.
Again, from the jump.
Yeah.
I need wrestling fans to pay attention. Okay, that's all I need. Okay, they said this in the beginning.
Reading comprehension. Something.
Listen to Justin Roberts.
No two steel cage matches are the same, people. Listen to the rules. Okay? Everybody does cage matches differently.
Listen to the rules.
Thank you.
So this match just is great. We get a new Brood version of Adam Copeland, which this AEW Brood, I guess, is more of like the Titanic imagery rather than vampire. But we'll get to the vampire in the room in a second.
We got South of Heaven back for Edge.
South of Heaven came back
this time.
They declared no escape. You have to pinfall or submit your opponent. And then once we're into the ring, this match starts with a chair duel. Like the first move against each other is dueling chairs. And I'm like, oh, this is the kind of match it's going to be. So they had tables already there. They had chairs already in the ring. The camera getting a little too close to the barbed wire to show that it really wasn't barbed wire. Like it was really trimmed down for this. Very visibly so.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Yeah, it's just like
they're not gonna like.
They're not gonna use real barbed wire, but like the camera was like right. The camera was like right there, and you could tell there was like hardly anything. And I'm like, just back the camera like a little ways, like to the left.
Nick Gage is that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have backed the camera up a little bit because I was like, man, that just does not look good.
Yeah. No. Both of these guys are bleeding in like the first 4 minutes of this match. Which
it's
it's
really interesting to me. I like to I think AEW as a company wants to do all of the cool hardcore stuff like barbed wire, exploding barbed wire death matches and stuff like that.
Exploding chair shot.
Yes,
which we'll get to
that later. but they want to do it in like a very controlled corporate sort of way,
Yeah.
which is
you can't let him go fucking nuts.
Sure, but all I want to say is it's antithetical to the spirit of those types of spots and those types of matches.
Yeah.
I know that they want to try to like cast a wide net and try to have all these different styles. Like up top was the New Japan style match. And then you come into like the death match type.
It's
matches,
a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yeah.
You want a spot fest?
I'm not mad about it, but it is very corporate feeling.
We should make a bingo card for AEW PPVs, like the spot fest match, the trios match, the death match style match, the actual wrestling. Like, there's a bingo card and just mark it off every time we watch a pay-per-view.
Would have marked it off here and then marked it off later.
Yeah. I think when I was watching this, I was like, this is the match that I think Edge and Finn wanted.
Yes.
And it definitely plays out like that. And it's not overly complicated. I mean, some wacky shit does happen once they get outside of the ring. The rest of House of Black shows up. They side with Malachi, and then they go to Edge's side, which, based on a promo that he cut earlier, everybody in that arena thought that they were betraying Malachi Black. Like, the crowd went crazy when they joined Edge, and then Brody King lays out Edge.
That was a really good fake out.
It was a really good swerve. Yes. I knew, because the theory is Malachi Black's contract is close to being finished. So this is their way of moving Brody and Buddy into something new without, having to completely disband everything. And now we can see the aftermath because, it's Dynamite, and we'll see.
I don't mind having Edge take his spot, though. I mean, it would probably work out. He gets another version of Judgment Day.
I think that's the thing. I think Edge had an idea for Judgment Day, which I think they talked about. He wanted to go like a more... I think they wanted him to go a more supernatural route, or he did.
No, they wanted him to go more of a supernatural route with Judgment Day. That's why it was weird in the beginning.
Yeah, so I think this is Edge like, hey, we had this idea. I want to see what the original version of that would have been like. So I think they're like, yeah, sure. I mean, it makes sense. And people will be like, oh, he's copying. And it's like, guess what, man? Everybody copies in wrestling. Hulk Hogan copied somebody else.
Everything in wrestling
copied somebody.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to tell you that. Everything is derivative.
Everything is derivative.
I mean, if you want to go with that logic, I mean, everything is pretty much a carbon copy of the Four Horsemen, also, just on different levels.
Chris Jericho is like
new faction,
that Four Horsemen high.
It's like a new faction. They're copying the Four Horsemen, or hey, a trios that is throwing as fucking with the owner, like Elites are doing with Tony Khan. It's like, oh, they're trying to be like NWO, and it's like, yeah, everything's derivative. Wrestling is fan fiction from other wrestling.
Wrestling is also a cycle, and these things go in cycles. So,
yes,
I don't know why. I don't know why y'all keep dealing with this logic. Wrestling goes in cycles. We're in another one, pretty much the Elite is in like Elite Bullet Club's new NWO. You have this Judgment Day like fact. You have the House of Black, who was similar to Judgment Day, but they're not the same.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's about the execution.
So if we can get like Edge, and I think Edge is just kind of playing out the last few things that he wants to do before he actually retires. I think they're going to give him a send off like they did with Sting. Edge, we're going to let you do what you want to do until you're satisfied. Then we'll let you go. We will let you go into the sunset. Sting has not been mentioned since he's retired. Like, they let him go in peace. They're like, we're not going to use his name for anything anymore. Like, Darby will still, have some aspects of it, but we're just not going to even hint that Sting's coming back.
Yeah.
And I think that's very respectful. On their end, it's like, all right, Sting did what he wanted to do, and now he gets to, relax. So I think they're going to let Edge do that for his final, the final few years he has here in wrestling. Which I'm happy about. If these guys can come here and just do what they want before they retire and retire happy, I'm glad that this company exists. So, But however, Edge does fucking fracture his tibia in this match, doing a really awkward fucking elbow drop from the top of the cage, which I don't think he had to do. I don't think he had to land the way he did.
He could have just splashed.
He was like, he jumped from the top of the cage and tried to land on his feet, elbow dropping Malachi Black. And it's just like, well, congrats, Edge, you fractured your leg. So
that sure is a choice.
He could have just went through Malachi on the table. I don't think he would have minded. This is his job. Like, and then a real interesting finish. Okay, well, so we'll get to this real quick. After they're out of the ring, and Brody and Buddy show up to help jump Edge, Malachi tries to straight up kill him. He tries to stab him, and it stabs the ring apron with like the sharp end of the thing that they had. And then Gangrel crawls out from underneath the ring. And the shit-eating grin I had on my face. Like, I was just like, this is fucking stupid, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of this.
But the thing with that is knowing the backstory of what Edge wanted to do with Gangrel while he was still in WWE, that just made that so much sweeter. It did.
Because for those of you who don't know, Edge said he wanted Gangrel on his last run in WWE, and they said, "Well, nobody's going to remember Gangrel." I think that crowd reaction speaks a different story.
The second time Gangrel's been in AEW, there was the last pay-per-view where during the tag match, the Young Bucks came out dressed as the Hardy Boys, and Gangrel was there to manage them as like a surprise, manager for that match. And people seem to forget that also Brandon Cutler came out dressed as Lita for that match, which was very funny. Gangrel shows up, evens the numbers, and Malachi loses consciousness during the submission. He doesn't tap out. So very interesting finish to it. And I'm wondering if it's just Malachi wanting to looking strong. Because we can all speculate all we want. There are people saying that, Malachi does not want to take a pin. All this dumb shit that people are saying that without any kind of proof. Him not tapping out is definitely a choice, I guess, to stay looking strong. I don't know. It's just like there's so much like speculation and stuff like that. I wonder if they're going to use this to continue the feud before, Edge's leg exploded. So
yeah, well,
I feel like they might just slap it on to probably Malachi now, doing some woo like rules thing.
I want them, so I don't want them to do it, but I would love the EVPs to be like, we're gonna give it to someone dependable.
Just put it on Jack Perry.
Just put it on Jack Perry. Which is what I'm expecting them to do, honestly.
The thing that I could see them building this with before everything happened with Edge is that you can only win by pinfall or submission. Technically, Malachi didn't submit.
Right.
So I feel like that could be the old school way of like, oh, I didn't submit to you. You didn't pin me. So continuing it that way. But yeah, Edge fractured his tibia, so he's probably out for a little while. And yeah, just put it on Jack Perry, because we'll get to him and the shit that he did during this pay-per-view. And I'm happy he's back. Like, it's so crazy, this journey from All In to now, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so happy we have Jack Perry.
Yeah.
But before that, it happened. They pulled the trigger. Statlander heel turn.
Yeah.
Very good fucking heel turn. All things considered. This was the TBS Championship match. Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. Mercedes being very generous to Willow in this match and making Willow look like a beast of a champion.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly impressed that this was not a selfish match. for Mercedes. Like, people are always saying, like, oh, she's going to come in and, kind of be selfish or try to act like she's on top of the world. No, she looked like a chicken shit heel in this match, and she played it perfectly. Yeah, this was just Willow throwing Mercedes around a lot.
Yeah. Tossing her around like a sack of potatoes. Throughout 80% of this match.
It
makes sense too.
Yeah, when Mercedes did get some offense in, it was really aggressive too, like that knee breaker on the apron. Looked really good. The ref is distracted by Stokely and Statlander getting onto the apron while Willow is trying to pin Mercedes. She doesn't see the pin. They don't get the 3 count. There's a little camera cut to Statlander and Stokely on the outside, and Stokely's looking pissed at Statlander. It's just like, what did you just fucking do? And it starts to turn back in Mercedes' favor. It's the moneymaker, and Mercedes is TBS championship, which we assumed was going to happen. It's a very short title reign, unfortunately, for Willow. But this is for the sake of the post-match, where Stokely is pissed off at Willow for losing the title. Statlander stands up for her, helps her out of the ring. They get to the ramp, and Statlander lariats Willow and takes the friendship bracelet off while Stokely is cackling like a madman in the ring. And I'm excited for this story.
How dare they take those pictures at Chuck E. Cheese?
And the thing is,
a month ago.
Dude, they built up so well, and then it's like the night of the pay-per-view, Statlander's just spamming her Instagram with pictures of her and Willow, and everybody's like, oh fuck, it's happening, isn't it? Yep. But the thing is, at the perfect time. I think if you wait for after this, like if you wait a week or two, it doesn't have the same impact. Like, Willow lost everything in this pay-per-view. So, I think I mentioned it too. I'm digging the women's division right now. You have so many stories being focused on. There's so many great performers here. You got, Camille on the outside waiting to come in. You have all of these women with their storylines being focused on, and all of them are being fleshed out and given time and given a chance to evolve. And if this is what it took to get Mercedes onto the card, I'm grateful for it. The women's division looks fucking great right now.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like they're putting some effort into it. It's really starting to hit its stride. When they get Camille and whoever else they decide to sign, I think it's going to be fantastic. They're on their way.
It's truly amazing what you can do when you have 2 women's matches on the main show.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we got 3 total on this pay-per-view also, which was insane. And all of them progress the story. So,
yes.
When you actually put effort into something, you reap the rewards from it.
The Toni Storm Mariah May storyline is hitting a final stretch, I think, before the breakup. This Willow and Stat finally hit its next chapter. You have Diona and Thunder Rosa still going at it with each other based on shit from the last pay-per-view.
Beating the dog shit out of each other in the match. I love it.
Yep.
Everything going on with Athena and Ring of Honor and Queen Amanita, which they're really building up Queen Amanita, and I would like to see her on more pay-per-views.
I'd like to see Athena on the AEW side of the company for once, though.
I can see it now, though.
Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, she's still Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, but I kind of want her on the AEW side.
Yeah, it's time for her to move up, all things considered. I don't know where she goes. Maybe she goes into the TBS picture eventually, but she's definitely carrying Ring of Honor right now.
Yeah, her and Mercedes will have a fantastic match. I see down the future.
I don't think we get Jamie Hayter back until All In.
No, we don't.
I think they've been really good about sandbagging returns. Mm-hmm. Like nobody knew that MJF was cleared until the night over. It's like, hey, we're getting reports that MJF has flown out to Arizona, which is Phoenix, Arizona, which is like 5 hours from Vegas. I'm like, don't show up. He healed. It's like they're really.
I want to say something about MJF. Is like that man is yoked right now.
Oh yeah, he definitely took the time to get back into good shape.
See, and the thing is, because my idea, because the way I thought they were going with it, I thought Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter were gonna do it at All In. You know, I thought they wouldn't have the match at All In. Now, if they are building to her and Mariah May, that's also good too. But at the same time, Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter for All In would just seem like the logical thing to do.
I can see it. If they let Jamie Hayter come back to like hype up All In, do you think Tony Storm goes like cartoonishly crazy if it's a triple threat and Mariah eats the pin for Jamie? And then Tony loses her fucking shit.
Yeah.
Because she's lost her title.
I mean, that's what started the gimmick to begin with. I don't see why it would end it.
Because while Mariah is entertaining, I don't think they've given her enough of an in-ring showcase yet to really make people be like, she's world champion material. But I think England, a Jamie Hayter surprise return, building into that is probably going to be, a better moneymaker for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe she comes back for the Owen Hart tournament. And it's like, hey, Tony, I want my title back. At All In. But yeah, I mean, this a really selfless match for Mercedes. She really let her opponent look like $1 billion. And now we get to see Mercedes as TBS champion and see where things go from here. Wondering who our first feud's going to be, realistically. I don't think they're going to jump to Statlander because she's going to be too busy dealing with, Willow.
Yeah.
So now we're done with the last fucking half hour of this pay-per-view. It's like, no, I think the Anarchy Arena was much longer. I think we're down to like the last 45 minutes of this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And from here on out, it's pretty much nonstop. Like, I did dig this Swerve Christian match.
I think it was my match of the night for sure.
Mine too.
From the beginning, Prince Nana doing the Warriors reference and then Swerve coming out in Warriors colors. I was like, that's so good.
By the way, see that movie if you can. It's fantastic.
I watch Warriors every now and then. It's still so good.
It's still good.
This whole match is basically Swerve trying to handle the numbers advantage, and Prince Nana tries to help him out, but gets ejected when the ref catches him with the belt about to hit Mama Wayne or the ref assumes like that's what's about to happen, and they eject Prince Nana, which puts Swerve at the disadvantage. I think this match did a great job making Swerve look resilient. Like, I can handle the numbers, and then Prince Nana came back and chased him away with a metal pipe, which was really funny later in the match. I think the moment that made this match for me is the midair house call from the spear.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, just the image of it that people have been sharing, it looks so clean.
It does.
I'm just like, God, it's so good because he can I love the house call becoming his new finisher because he can't just hit it out of nowhere. Like,
I think my favorite thing that Swerve does is that like suplex that he rolls up and does like rolls around and does like another suplex with it.
Yeah.
I think that's or the like Michinoku driver or whatever he does.
The JML driver.
Yeah. That one's real. That's a really cool sequence that I like about what he does.
So there's this doesn't get to like a big spectacle of a match. It is very much still a pretty basic feeling wrestling match, but this whole thing is Swerve having to fight the numbers advantage. And there's nothing better portraying that than when Nick Wayne shows back up out of nowhere and hits a Wayne's World on him outside the ring. Like, you have the camera here, and it's just like Nick Wayne fucking like drive by Swerve.
The RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah. There is a scary spot when Swerve gets thrown out of the ring and hits the steps, or at least makes it seem like he hits the steps. Definitely wasn't, but like the angle that the cameras caught it looked bad. but thankfully he was fine with everything. Because even those spots like that, I'm like, it's probably easy to stop yourself from hitting it, but the angle we had looked like Swerve just came down onto the steps.
Yes, and that is intentional on the production team.
Yeah, it is.
These people are trying to kill each other, remember?
Yeah. But yeah, just and then that midair house call, the Swerve stomp into another house call, then Swerve retains. And for our first feud for Swerve with the build that we had up to it, this was 3 weeks of a build. I really loved how the history that they weaved into this story. Christian cut his whole promo of he's like, I'm gonna spill your blood for every ounce of blood you spilled for my son, referencing the home invasion where they left Nick Wayne bloodied in the wrestling ring.
I love continuity.
I'm wondering if AR Fox is going to show up eventually again.
I hope so,
because for this Swerve title reign.
Yeah, because I kind of want them two to run it back also from Lucha Underground.
That's gonna have a big Creed 3 feel to it, X.
Yeah.
Like these two just know each other for so long, and now AR Fox is like, I want that title. So those guys put on fucking brutal matches in Lucha Underground. Like, I can't wait to see that in a title picture. But a very basic by the book wrestling match with a very experienced veteran in Christian Cage making his babyface opponent look really. Christian should get his dues in this match. He played the perfect heel. And the Patriarchy faction played their roles perfectly too. So,
yeah, hats off to Christian Cage for that.
Very, very good match. And now, in the words of Justin Roberts, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the shit show.
Welcome to the shit show.
Oh God, the anarchy in the arena.
This is where we do not take notes for these kind of matches.
I don't take notes. I'm barely watching this match.
I'm going to just list off some of my favorite moments from this match before we get to the very obvious things that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Nick Jackson saying, play some good theme music, and it's their theme music. And then Bryan Danielson taking the mic saying, no, let's play the best wrestling theme song. And then Final Countdown starts playing, which the fucking arena erupts during. It goes on for about 5 minutes.
First 10 minutes of this match.
Yeah, it's like in the first 5, and then it comes back and it's like, cut the music. I'm losing $200K every time this song plays, which was a great really a great comedy moment. People can shit on the Elite. They're really good comedy wrestlers when they want to be.
Yeah, yeah, they can be.
Unintentionally too,
them, but
unintentionally, Okada is a great comedy wrestler. Coming out to the street fight in his wrestling gear and not in street fight clothes was really funny. I just don't think he had street fight clothes. I think he was just like, shit, I just have this.
Somebody needs to go buy him some jeans and some boots or something.
Suits and his wrestling gear, but everybody else is ready for a street fight and he's there in full wrestling getup.
I don't think Okada cares, man, but this is what makes him.
I'd like to believe that it's intentional. Okada's just this is a normal wrestling match.
Intentional. But it works for him. It really does.
When they cut the music after Matt or Nick, I can't remember which one, says that the crowd chants, "We want music," which was another really funny one. There is a lot of focus, particularly on Jack and Darby in this match, which not only ties into stuff that happens later, but I think is also intentional given their status as pillars. During a lot of this match, you don't really see what's going on with FTR and the Bucks or Okada or Danielson. A lot of this is really focused on Jack and Darby, which may just be because it's building up to 2 wild things that happen in this match. Later. One, making it seem like Jack hit Darby with a bus, which was
referencing his real life situation. Getting hit by a bus. It's crazy.
That was I want to imagine
I bet that was Darby's idea.
Yeah, so whenever you got they do a match, they're all in the room together and they're talking about what they want to do, what they plan on doing, the spots they want to do in the match. Someone in there was like, "Hey, we have to reference you getting hit by a bus, Darby." It's probably Darby.
Yeah.
Probably Darby just being like, "Hey, we have to reference me getting hit by a bus."
Yeah,
Can we get that? And the EVPs are like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, so he gets hit by a bus. This was after dunking Jack Perry into the tub of ice water, which is a good cover for what happens later. Because by this point, Jack Perry is like soaked, covered in water. So when he shows back up covered in the fire retardant gel, it looks like he still just got out of the tub. It looks
like he's still soaked from the tank. Which was actually kind of brilliant because I was wondering how they were going to do that.
We remember a few months ago we saw that Jack Perry did like the fire stunts for something, and Darby is a stunt man. It's like this was definitely probably their brainchild of nonsense. There was a moment too where Darby and Okada are going at it, and Okada just stomps on his foot, like a broken foot.
Oh yeah, he stomps on it. Like Darby just sells the fuck out of it.
Yeah. If I were to if you have not seen this match, just try to find like a screenshot of the final moment of this match of Jack laying on Bryan Danielson, Darby suspended in the air in the ropes above them. This match went fucking wild. So they knock out Darby and they put him on the elevator. They lower him out of the match, like on the little stage elevator that they have. And this is all before they also call back to the first Double or Nothing and pile drive Danielson onto the same chip that Kenny got paradigm shifted on. Mm-hmm. So a nice little callbacks to the first Double or Nothing. Mm-hmm. And then Darby just sets Jack Perry on fire.
Yeah, because he comes back out somehow through the face entrance with the flamethrower, the same flamethrower that he showed up with on Dynamite, and so he just kind of like ducks behind the heel entrance. Oh, and before this, Jack Perry
kidnaps Tony Khan.
Kidnaps Tony Khan, and he just kind of throws him out on the ramp.
Did you see the clips from that? So somebody uploaded a clip of like, what was Tony doing when Jack was getting set on fire? And it's just Tony literally rolling down the entire length of the entrance ramp, getting up and then running off. It's like he stood up, ran back like to the backstage area. And I'm like, this is all while Jack Perry's getting set on fire.
That is so unserious.
It is completely unserious. So yeah, like Darby just kind of goes commando and just like fucking barbecues Jack Perry. And Jack Perry's just like whirling around and like running left and right and shit. It's like, this is wild.
We guessed this too in the Discord. I was like, he has a flamethrower. And I thought I was like, a few months ago, Jack did those videos. And we're like, they're not going to, are they? And then during the match, you see there are two comedically large fire extinguishers on stage. And my mind was instantly like, they're going to set Jack Perry on fire. It's like
something
I wanted to see that too.
So something I appreciate about this more than what they usually do when someone is set on fire is they usually get like the safety crew and like spray them.
Yeah,
I'm glad that
the Bucks did it. Yeah, the Bucks did it.
Sense in the match.
The Bucks did it. The
Darby
Doctor
also.
And they sprayed Darby to get him away from the flamethrower.
I liked that bit where Darby is like kind of trying to shoot it and they spray him too.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
The Doctor instantly checks up on him. Jack's out of the match for about 5 minutes at this point, realistically selling the burn. Some people have a problem with how the match ends because, you know, Jack Perry was just set on fire. But I think that this is a clear indication that they want to push Jack, all things considered. And he's so far proving that he is capable of being in that position.
Jack Perry is the most like rebound girlfriend in the entire world.
Also, it's just like all them jokes from that, just real fire, like real glass, real fire.
No, fake fire, idiot.
So basically, the last like 10 minutes of this match are Jack Perry set on fire, Darby swung up over the ring, the tacked sleeve for the Rainmaker. Okada doing a very, very funny moment of handing the tacked shoes to Nick. Try these. And I was just like, that
reminded me of like every like 90s action movie where it's like, hey man, you try these.
Okada is so genuine with his comedy. It's so good. Like he is.
I didn't know he had this in him. That's the crazy part.
Chewing like, the scenery of this run of
he's
his.
Absolutely killing this right now.
It's so good.
The running gag. Nick loses another shoe in this match. They take off another one of his shoes. This is a running thing in Anarchy in the Arena matches. I think every Anarchy in the Arena that he's been a part of, he has lost a shoe at some point in the match. And I'm like, just keep it going. Just make it a thing now whenever he's in this.
Right. Oh, and then there was an exploding steel chair that came out of nowhere.
Danielson's clearing the house. There's the Psycho knee with the chair. There's a exploding chair because last year we had the exploding super kick. I'm wondering what's next at this point.
Much less obvious exploding table, duh.
Yeah, they're gonna lay a table down and throw somebody through it, and it's just
exploding table.
I was not expecting the exploding chair. That legit caught me and popped me.
That caught me off guard. I would say I'm sufficiently sports entertained by this match.
This was the most chaotic, stupid, fun thing I think I've seen recently in AEW.
This is the most fun shit show I've ever watched. Seriously.
I had a hard time turning my brain off for the match, but I do remember all of the spots you guys described and we described together. I did enjoy all of those spots, but I had a hard time turning my brain off because they wanted to take it seriously with like, oh my god, they just hit Darby with the bus. Again,
you can't take a match like this seriously.
I think the only thing that would have made this maybe cooler for me, you have Jack hitting Danielson with the Psycho knee, which is a great finish. I think if his leg still had been on fire, hitting Danielson with the knee, I think that probably would have been a cooler visual. But I understand, we also don't want to put fire on Danielson's face. This man is already kind of falling apart as it is. He hits Danielson with a Psycho knee, pins Danielson. Jack Perry's getting pins over a lot of big names throughout his run. And the Elite win, and their reign of terror continues. So
they're eventually pushing Jack into the AEW World Title scene. I think they're trying to capitalize on all of the stuff that's happened with him. He went over to Japan for a little bit, and he pretty much capitalized on it himself over there already. So he's making the best of what was a bad situation last year at All In.
Yeah.
And he's knocking it out of the park.
MJF is our scumbag. Jack Perry is our scapegoat.
I'm telling you, like, Jack Perry's got the most, like, he's the most rebound girlfriend in the world.
It's rebound girlfriend energy. Let Darby take a break. Like, I think this was the last match he could do before he needed to just like stop for a little while.
Canonically, put Darby in the coffin and just push him and put him under the arena.
You know what? Truth be told, somebody brought it up. I think the safest place for Darby is in a wrestling ring. All things considered, this man's been outside of a wrestling ring, got hit by a bus. So it's just.
I mean, technically, that's true.
Darby has done some dumb shit in matches and walked out of it. Steps outside, gets hit by a bus, like
breaks his nose, fucks up his ankle somehow.
There is a funny moment as the pay-per-view's ending where Nick or Matt is like desperately calling for his brother, just pick him up. And like you can hear it on camera, and then they lift, Jack Perry onto their shoulders. Because one of them is just like so focused on the crowd and like waving, and he's just like, pick him up, like for the shot. So a lot of even if that is like just to be funny, the Elite have won me over with this like evil dickhead CEO energy that they have.
It's good. It's good, and I say that as the biggest Young Bucks hater in the world.
Yeah,
yeah.
I did enjoy this pay-per-view. I was significantly sports entertained by this last match.
Yes, I think there's like a definite U shape in the pay-per-view as far as match quality goes.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's check mark. Like it starts, gets a little dip, and then ends just a little bit higher than how we started.
What kind of fucking check marks are you making?
Just the curved ones.
Cup and handle. They call it in the stock world.
But you look like ladles.
The cup and handle. The stock dropped in this pay-per-view towards the middle, and then it just kind of, shot to the moon towards the end.
The thing is, if we can get pay-per-views like this consistently, where they're not, people are killing themselves to try to give like a 5-star show, but also like they're actually caring enough to not make it entirely boring throughout. If we keep getting this like good middle ground, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
This is you'll have your highs, you'll have your lows every pay-per-view, but as long as the net is a net positive, I think I'll be content, watching all of these. But now we get to see where Swerve and Ospreay eventually go. I'm wondering if they're going to give, Ospreay somebody from Undisputed Kingdom at All In. Wondering who Swerve faces at All In. I would love to see things shake up in a way that I hope they are. Reports coming out that apparently when his contract ends, Ricochet is leaving WWE. So if I can at least get one more Ricochet Ospreay match, just one more.
That's you know what?
Ricochet Swerve. Like, just give me
the hope I have right now. If Ricochet decides not to re-sign with WWE, I would love to see another Ricochet Ospreay match. I don't think
he's going to go at 110 like he used to, but I still think he has enough in the tank to.
Oh yeah, he's still young enough. I mean, Ricochet ain't entirely old, but he's still young enough to pull something off with Ospreay.
There is the uncertainty of Becky Lynch. She may just be leaving like from all the top from a full-time role, since their parents, all that, their kids are growing up. Seth is also currently out injured. Maybe she just wants to stay with him. But as of the time of recording this, her contract ends on Saturday. So, and everything that they've had her on TV doing recently, putting Liv over and then having that promo with Lyra, definitely seeming like she's going to be gone for a while. And
yeah, I think
maybe she's just leaving to part-time it.
She's just probably taking a long break. That's all.
Because this doesn't seem
with WWE.
This doesn't seem like a huge retirement run.
No, this doesn't seem like the end at all. I just think she's just going to have a long break right now. She's going to go tend to Seth. Maybe she might have another kid. Who knows? But she's gonna take a break from wrestling.
Yeah, I think somebody like pointed out it's like their kid's like 4 now. That's about preschool or something.
That's kind of when you want to be
eventually
around.
Preschool age is going to kick in, and then school. So maybe they just want to have a full time.
But hey, don't worry, because we're getting Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair back soon. Before you know it.
Yeah. And I mean, they have Jordynne Grace now too, being paid apparently 6 figures for their next 3 appearances. So
WWE is trying to get Jordynne Grace. This is pretty much
this is them trying to this is them trying to sweeten the deal. They're like,
this is WWE's whole probably part of their partnership with TNA. They kind of want to get Jordynne Grace over to WWE.
They definitely want Jordynne Grace. Ethan Page is still being advertised for indie events next month.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's on a per appearance contract right now, or if he's just like trying it out to see how things.
He's probably gonna like. It's probably a sudden thing that he's like, hey, Trips, I got indie dates. He's like, okay, just finish your indie. You can take your indie dates
because he's going right for Trick's world title. So
I don't see Ethan Page being in NXT very long. He's main roster material.
Yeah. So his match next month is against Shelton Benjamin for Prestige Wrestling.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to find that if I can on like YouTube or something.
I wonder how many because if he's going to get Shelton Benjamin, I wonder how many of those matches. I wonder if there's a through line from there to WWE.
Maybe. I also think just with how off TV he was in Ring of Honor recently, it's just think it's like, you know what? Maybe I'll try it out. Technically, nothing can hurt going to NXT. Hey, I'll sign a 3-year contract. I'll try it out. If I fucking hate it, I'll leave. It's just wrestlers, want to wrestle. So why not try, take some TV time and at least, helping your own brand and image.
Right.
So it'd be interesting. I think we did have our things. So it's like, I feel like they might be like, oh, you'll fit right in with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I hope they can give him if he does sign, give him a character that's a little more interesting than that. So Yeah, that's
he did say all ego, so
he is all ego.
He's still all ego.
It's still all ego. But yeah, that's kind of this week of wrestling, and in like what, an hour maybe. Dynamite, so we'll see the fallout. But yeah, what is our next show for pay-per-views? It's Clash
at
the Castle, which is in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, we skipped all the Saudi shows. Yeah, so Clash. I'll probably watch that one, whenever we can. So that'll probably be the following week after. That's a different time zone too, I believe.
And then there's Forbidden Door, which I think is June, the end of June.
Yeah, we have June. We have Forbidden Door 3 and Clash, I think, are our next 2 episodes. We just need to verify which one's first.
Yeah.
But also, for the sake of this show, God, I hope SummerSlam does not become 2 nights.
It is. Unfortunately, it is going to be 2 nights. It's just going to start in 2026, though. So we got one more year, 1 year of one night only SummerSlam. It is starting in 2026.
They're also talking about moving
SummerSlam.
They're also talking about moving pay-per-views back to Sunday nights, and I'm like, no, man, I like the Saturday night ones. I can go to my buddies and eat nachos and do stuff, and not have to worry about going to work the next morning.
Right.
So, God, we had it good for so long, and now they're taking it away from us.
Yeah, TKO doing shitty things finally. It took them long enough, though, about 2 years.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that is it. We made it through this episode with only 2 crashes. Fantastic. So, thankfully, the file format I record in doesn't corrupt, so you guys will just see probably 2 cuts on this episode when it goes live. So yeah, anybody have anything to add to this?
That's it. It was an okay show.
Somewhere between 5 and 10. Can we just find the sweet spot for matches?
Yeah, I think
7.
The problem is with the AEW style is there's not a lot of fluff between the matches. So 5 matches in a 3-hour show or 4-hour show makes sense for WWE.
Yeah, because they're all the
ads and stuff in the between.
Ads and all the middle time between. But AEW is just like done. It's like done within 1 minute. Entrances, like it's
exactly. They have like a video of like how did we get here in AEW, and then the entrances.
Dude, their promo videos are fucking on point too. Like, I think I pointed out, I was like, watch the Swerve Christian one going into this match. Such a good storytelling of like how we got to this point. And there is a through line for history. So again, if people tell me that AEW doesn't have storylines, I'm gonna be like, you haven't watched a promo video, have you? It's like
AEW just had
this Swerve Christian story. This Swerve and Christian story was booked for like 3 weeks of a build, but the history was there for like 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
and sometimes that's just the best way to do it. You just take pre-existing continuity and just build it into a new storyline.
I remember a fucking quote from an old Adult Swim show. I don't know if you guys remember Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It was a show that was on Adult Swim. It was like this mock version of like a British like horror show. And the guy's like, I know writers that use subtext and they're cowards. So it's just That's
right.
That's what there's like. There's no subtext here. It's all laid out for you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Clash at the Castle because somebody pointed out that everybody in the world heavyweight picture is a heel, which is interesting. You have 3 heels vying for this title.
Damian Priest is.
He's like kind of a tweener. Yeah.
He's barely he's in a heel faction. He himself is not a heel.
Yeah, but someone pointed out it's like all these people are kind of tweeners or heels, and I'm like, technically you're right. There's no babyface in the title picture right there, so it is a little more interesting.
Technically, the only true babyface we have in WWE right now is Cody Rhodes. It's in that's holding the title.
That's until we get Homelander Cody.
Cody.
There is also one more thing I wanted to add before we sign off. There is a chance of Joe Hendry in WWE.
There is.
Do you?
There is.
I just love the Joe Hendry. It's just like, and the thing is, I remember Joe Hendry also from being from What Culture's Wrestling promo, WCPW.
Yeah,
I think that's where he first like showed up. And so I knew that name, and I was like, wait, it's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think also Joe Coffey was from that too, and now he's in NXT. So it's like good for what culture's wrestling promotion to actually like
because
give these stars
apparently there's gonna be some NXT talent that's gonna be showing up in TNA as well. So I can't wait to see what that does.
Talent exchanges, people across the board are good for the whole industry. Let's go.
WWE finally is getting on this boat for once, and I'm all for it. You know, they're getting on this
TKO
boat.
having like a gun to Trips' head. It's like acknowledge other companies, especially other companies that we own.
I think it's Trips the one that has a gun. It's like, hey, we're just doing this, okay?
Well, also, isn't TNA?
Just trust me here.
TNA is also part of TKO, right?
Yes.
So TKO is probably like, we have another company. Acknowledge it.
They have a streaming deal with TKO.
These?
So this
is your half sibling. Acknowledge them.
Go play with your half brother, okay?
Yeah.
It's wild that the continuity of TNA includes when Billy Gunn and Jesse James were the Voodoo Kin Mafia, VKM. And that just exists in TNA, and they're co-conspirators now.
Yeah. It's wild. All right, well, we've been rambling enough after all this. Thanks everybody for joining us for this episode. We will see you in a few weeks for either Clash at the Castle or Forbidden Door. We'll verify which is which. If you guys enjoyed this video, we do have a video version if you are listening to it on an audio source like Spotify or anything like that. And if you're watching it on YouTube, we have it on Spotify and any other podcast source. So if you want to listen to it while you're driving and not have to watch the visuals, do that as well. We also have links down in the description if you want to follow us on the rarely used Twitter or Facebook pages. We're trying to get better about it. I'm trying to get better of updating those whenever we put a video out. So, also, if you guys have anything you want to request of us, we did do a viewer request last year at some point. If you guys have an old pay-per-view or something you want us to watch, we'll check it out if we can. I do like taking the viewer requests. We did see a different history of wrestling, from a darker time, I would say. But it was still fun to see how evolved wrestling has become back from those days.
Yeah,
and it's only evolving even more. So I'm really fully on board with this ride. It's just interesting to see what the next chapter will hold for both companies.
Wrestling again with everything that happened this week in WWE with TNA getting NXT wrestlers and everything going on with AEW and the returns and everything and all the indie promotions. Wrestling's again in a great place. Really happy to be a fan. So we'll see what the future holds. But you guys here, we'll catch you around. See you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Square Triangle. Find us wherever you get your podcasts under the Without Context podcast. Find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@WCNetwork.